we're back with an impromptu look at Genshin Impact. Yes, another look at PS5 and PS4 Pro to update our analysis from a few days ago because, well, as luck would have it, a patch has landed that changes our original findings. So yes, we reviewed patch 1.50, but a new patch 1.51 promises stability improvements, which is to say there are big frame rate upgrades. It can be a night and day difference on patch 1.51, just our luck really, but a day after finalizing our original Genshin video, that patch landed and many commenters reported that a lot of this was fixed. So to run through both PS5 and PS4 Pro as it currently stands, I'm going to bounce my ideas off my good friend and colleague John Lindemann. How's it going?
Pretty good, Tom. And yeah, this kind of situation, it doesn't actually happen that often, but once in a while, a developer unleashes a patch right after a video goes live, and it's like...
Yeah.
Because, I mean, most of the time people will say, hey, retest this. You retest it, it's about the same. But this time, they really improved this. I am impressed. So, yeah, what have we got here then, Tom? Maybe you should remind people real quick just how bad it was.
It was really surprising because it was just, it's a gorgeous looking game, but it is also quite simplistic in quite what it's doing.
I wouldn't say that at all. I'd say this is one of the most complex Unity games we've ever seen. Like the sense of scale and the amount of stuff going on. There's not a lot of games running on Unity that have this kind of ambition.
Yeah, I suppose it's also a mobile phone game as well.
That's the thing that always gets me. And I guess the phone version is kind of scaled back a little bit in many ways, though it looks comparable enough. But clearly, whatever they were doing here on the PS4 and the PS5, it wasn't great beforehand. But now, and yeah, you can kind of see the footage here in patch 1.50. It's not consistent at all. And it's way below basically every PS5 game that we've tested, like that targets 60 FPS, because most of them do actually. Like that's been a great thing for this new generation. So to see this one struggle was surprising. But why don't we bounce over to patch 1.51 and see how it's changed?
Yeah, so the key areas, I guess, were, I mean, we're judging it by the first few hours, and even there, you've got areas like Mondstadt, that big city in the center.
Right.
And this was the area where we saw the biggest tank in performance, down to about 45 FPS. And so I went straight for the jugular with this new patch and thought, right, well, how's it run now? And it's absolutely, well, the first time you go in, it's perfect. Like, it's really, really rock solid 60, which is what I thought it would be the first time round, especially on PS5. Yeah, just, it's a night and day difference, as I say. I guess a few things to point out. This is Unity engine, despite being ubiquitous in the game dev scene, it is still prone to a few issues across a lot of games I've noticed. And for this case, you've got hitching.
I'm wondering though, you can essentially pay to license out the source code access to Unity, which allows you to work a little bit deeper with the Unity code base, of course. And a lot of the best performing Unity games have done this or taken things even further, like in the case of Ori, where they kind of rewrote everything. I'm really getting that impression here, like just watching you run through the city again. And yeah, I mean, it is mostly a stable 60 frames per second by and large. And yeah, this looks good. I've been playing Ease 9 from Falcom recently. That's not a great looking game, actually. I love it, but it does not look amazing. And I have to say, these guys here, this is a big step up visually. And it's the kind of style I'd like to see them adopt as well. So I am happy to see it running so well at this point. But that one area in the city here where it's dipping just below 60, that's one of the worst case scenarios you've seen then?
Yeah, for sure. There's another run where I run down the center, the market, and you see some more drops in patch 1.51, but honestly, that's the worst of it in Mondstadt. It's not ideal to have it drop, but still, this is kind of an outlier. I guess another area we should focus on is battle. Now, if we look at 1.50 originally, there were some huge drops. Like it could really pick up and send you barreling down to the mid-40s like that. I've got to say, in the new patch, it's not 100% resolved, but you do have so much of a clean 60 FPS for most of it. Like, this is mostly outdoor battling, where there's all the alpha effects, you're switching between 4 characters. So there, can be moments where you can congest the screen with an awful lot of effects. And that was where 45 FPS was kind of something the original patch could drop to. jumped to the new one, and yeah, there's still issues, but like we're talking VRR territory if the PS5 could support it.
Right. If they add VRR in, which they're still promising, this should be completely corrected, I would say.
Yeah.
If you have a display that can support it, of course. So we would, it would be great to see this solved without that, but it does seem like they've gotten pretty darn close by and large.
Yeah. Not 100% perfect, like as you can see.
Yeah.
But people were right in the comments to say, hey, you should check this out again.
Thinking of that though, Tom, did you actually investigate what they changed? Is there anything that they've changed that is visible to the user, or is this like sort of back end stuff?
In this business, there's a feeling there's no such thing as a free lunch. But I think it was just a matter of optimization behind the scenes in terms of the streaming engine. This is my theory anyway, in terms of the way assets stream in. Because I did do a comparison visually, and there's nothing between them. Like patch 1.50 and 5.1, the resolution is still 4K. And that is just as locked in place as before. And the LODs were, this is the other area you'd expect. Maybe they've tweaked it, but again, the LOD improvements we had on PS5 as part of the native app upgrade, they're still here. So there's been no real obvious downgrade to my eye. At least like a very cursory look at the whole thing. It really it must have been behind the scenes optimizations. So good stuff there at least.
Okay, well that sounds good then. So the PlayStation 5 version, it's in pretty good shape currently. It seems like a solid way to play the game, so that's great. But I guess it wasn't the only version to receive a patch. The regular PS4 version, and I guess specifically PS4 Pro, which you tested before, also has version 1.51, and that version, as you can see from the footage here, was pretty lousy with patch 1.5, like often dipping and sustaining frames below 30 frames per second on top of incorrect frame pacing. So when you add that together, it was awful on PS4 Pro, if you ask me. Not acceptable by today's standards.
The thing is, this was the state of performance, and it remains the case, but 20 to 30, it was the way it was when it released late last year, 2020. That's been improved. Yeah, if we jump over to the new PS4 1.51 patch, the first battle that you've just seen improves quite drastically. And it's not locked 30 by any means, but it is obviously much improved. Like, it's no longer dropping substantially. It's kind of remarkable that you can achieve so much without too much of a sacrifice. And clearly they've put the time into maybe at the last minute, double backed after patch 1.50 to solve a few small things, and they've nailed it pretty much.
Great. So overall then, it sounds like pretty positive news for people playing Genshin Impact, and this is definitely the type of game that really benefits from these continued fixes, because it is something that you would play long term.
Yeah.
So I guess at this point then, I mean, what can I say? It's a fantastic looking game. The animation work is excellent.
Yes.
They really nailed that the anime aesthetic within a 3D kind of environment. Like, it's not quite like, say, Guilty Gear Xrd level or anything like that.
No.
Where they specifically keyframe things out without interpolation. But this is really good. This is a great looking game. So I am happy to see that it's shaped up to be very respectable on PS5 and at least better on PS4 Pro.
Yeah, I think with PS4 Pro, a lot of people will have noticed that there's still, the hitching on PS5 that remains in the new patch. It's still there big time on Pro. It's like it's really glaring, and the frame pacing as well is a bit up and down as well. Being capped to 30, they haven't quite, nailed an even line there on the frame time.
Fair
graph.
enough, yeah.
That's all to say the actual frame rate drops are much improved. Yeah, so we can kind of tie a bow on that one, hopefully, unless a new patch 1.52 turns up and I have to replay this game many more times. I've played the intro to this at least 6 times already in the last week, so I'd love to give this a rest, but I agree, it's a fantastic game and well worth checking out if you want something very straightforward, very charming, and with a really slick battle system as well. It's well worth checking out, especially for free.
Cool. Sounds good, Tom.
Well, we'll leave it there then. Thanks for jumping in on this one, John, on such short notice. I know you're busy.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, I know how it is when you have to revisit something quickly right after the original video, but we wanted to ensure that, people didn't walk away from that first video with what was now incorrect information. So here we go. It's the current state of things.
Okay, so if you did enjoy this video, feel free to like or subscribe, and don't forget, of course, to hit that bell to get notifications as any new video lands. And of course, we've got our entire suite of videos at high quality on digitalfoundry.net. And if you want to join our Patreon, you can do so and get access to all of those. And of course, if you want to get in touch with myself, John, or the rest of the team, you can do exactly that on Twitter. But from the both of us for now, thanks for watching.